as well from one of you who has now actually completed that whole cluster. So we have success as far as and progress in that regard. And that's really, really good. So please talk to me. How are things going? What have you been accessing the portal? Are you finding it easy to use? Are you able to then navigate and understand the sort of things that you're looking for? This is your opportunity now to really let me know how you're going and address any questions that you might have. Who's going to start? No one have anything that they want to talk about, raise, or anything like that? Okay. All right, I'm just going to share my screen because I want to just now sort of, I guess, recap where we're at, what we're doing, and what my expectations of you are. So I'm just going to share my screen. You see the screen okay there? Okay. So this is now, I guess, the first thing that we really need to consider, okay, here is specific work that's done. And as I said, some of you have already completed the knowledge questions from this first cluster. And if you've done so, well done, very well done. Very self-paced. This workshop is not really to now work on those knowledge questions. That's something that you need to do in your own time. So, but I will give you some guidance on doing those knowledge questions again this morning. And then the other thing that you will need to also do is the assignment that's part of this first cluster and first couple of units, I guess, that we're looking at as part of your course. So there is then, I guess, we've got a due date that we've set, assessment due date, and we've said before Tuesday the 18th of March. That's when we're going to be together again next. So when we are together again in 2 weeks' time, my expectation is that everyone then has completed these two assessment tasks that need to be done, knowledge questions and the actual assignment document. Is that is that clear and understood by everyone? You're all okay with those two requirements that we're going to deal with?
Yes, understood, sir.
Good, thank you. Okay, so that's great. Thank you for the feedback. So, all right. So I will in a moment, I guess, redirect you to the knowledge questions, how to actually sort of go about these when you're going to do those. So the knowledge questions, and then I'll also then just have a bit of an overview then too of this assignment document that you need to complete. And the steps involved there. So they're actually been stepped out on the screen with what we do. All right. So if I can just perhaps bring up a learning plan. So have you all been okay with the actual navigation of the student portal, of the learner portal? Any issues with that when you've got onto that? Everything okay? Good. Okay. So now your learning plan. So you click onto your learning plan, and there is the orientation module, if you like, that's called there. But I'm just going to collapse that. That is just personal reading, orientation, information, videos, resources, and so forth. Whatever takes your interest there, as far as that is concerned. And so, where I then have said that we are looking at these assessment tasks here, as far as your learning plan is concerned, they are then here at item 3. That's the knowledge assessment for the first cluster. And then here at item 4 is the assignment document for this first cluster. So that's where you'll need to access that. So remember where we also have lessons. Now, the lessons are not assessments, but they are information for you as far as helping you with the course is concerned. It is not mandatory that you go through every single lesson from start to finish. It's really like you having a book, an electronic book there at your disposal. So you can look at those lessons as much as you like, or as little as you need to, whatever takes place there. And you can also go back. You don't just do a lesson once. You can take a lesson again at any time if you actually then go through that. Okay, so remember that Fortress logo is always something to bring you back to your home page. So if I click onto that, it will bring me back to my cover page with the learning plan, which I'll click back onto. And I will now collapse those lessons and just refer back now again to one of the assessments that we need to now have worked on, completed by the 18th of March in 2 weeks' time. And that is the knowledge questions at number 3 there, knowledge assessment. So if I drop down on that knowledge assessment, okay, so here you will see the hyperlink to the actual knowledge questions. So if I click onto that, it will then open up the knowledge questions for me to complete. And it says that there are 20 questions, 12 attempts. It should actually only be 3, but that's just a system error there, but I wouldn't worry about that too much. An online quiz is self-paced for you to do at your pace. And when you start the quiz, if you started it today, doesn't mean you have to finish it today. You can do 3 or 4 questions today, come back, do more tomorrow, whenever you get an opportunity to do that. Okay, so you then have an area where it says start attempt for the questions. And all your knowledge questions are actually listed on the left-hand side here. And so you can do them in the order that they actually present themselves in, or you can also go anywhere, click on any of these questions as you see fit. So there's the knowledge questions. So this is the first assessment that you really need to get done. And as I've said, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got about 7 of you that have already at least attempted those knowledge questions, and 5 of you have actually got them completed. There's a couple who just need to do a quick resubmission for some of them. But I'm really thankful for those that have got that done, and it's going to be worth it. You can tick off an assessment that you've done. Okay, now when you have the knowledge questions, you will always see then that there is some sort of guidance on addressing question, a memory refresh. It will either direct you to one of the lessons, or maybe even to a particular website to have a look at, where you can actually then find information to address that question. Someone have a question for me?
No, sir.
All right. So, I'll now just remind you of a good way to actually deal with these knowledge questions, and that is then when you have your knowledge questions open to duplicate your tab on your page. So if you right-click at that tab there and duplicate the tab, so you actually then have two tabs open. The purpose of that being that one of them can be for the questions that you're dealing with, and the other one you can actually have your lessons open. So I'll actually exit out of this one. So I still have my knowledge questions open on this tab. I'll go to this tab and go back home so I can actually then open up the lessons, which by default have opened there. That was the last where we last left that off. Okay, so we have the lessons. And just going back here then, for instance, this question here, list and describe the 4 dimensions of competency, providing a practical example of how each is applied to a work role, for example, operating a photocopier. And the memory refresh is suggesting have a look at lesson 15 from that cluster 1. So if I then scroll down to lesson 15, there we go, there's lesson 15, understanding the structure of units of competency. And this is where I, hopefully then would find information that would help me with that particular question. I need to click on begin the lesson. And much the same way with the knowledge questions, you also have almost like a table of contents with this lesson, what you might actually find in there. So you don't necessarily need to go from the start of the lesson to the finish, particularly when we see, okay, the question was here about the dimensions of competency, and you can see there's a couple of sections within this lesson that refer to the dimensions of competency. So that to me suggests, well, I could actually perhaps have a look there and just see how that helps. So going back to the question again, list and describe the 4 dimensions of competency, a practical example of how each is applied to a work role, for example, operating a photocopier. Okay, so here it actually then says there are 4 dimensions of competency: task skills, task management skills, contingency management skills, and job role environment skills. So there are the 4 dimensions of competency. There's your answer. That's the 4. And also it gives a description of each as well. For instance, a task skill is the specific skill needed to do the task as described in the unit of competency. And on top of that, it also then provides an example or a couple of examples of a task skill, which you can use in your answer. It is okay to copy that particular information across and use as your answer. So, so all the questions then leave you with some sort of direction as to where you can find that out. So even though you may look at lessons prior to assessments and so forth, you still get that opportunity to go back to them and actually have a look at the area that you need to. Does that sound good, folks? Okay, so I'm just going to exit out of that. And that, and I want to go back. So that is then really, I guess, how to then approach these knowledge questions to get that assessment done. Again, let's see if we can get that done by 2 weeks' time, as in finished. Try and get them in the next couple. I will assess them as soon as I get my first opportunity to assess them. Those who have submitted work would have seen the turnaround is pretty quick. Once I see that it's there for assessment, I will attempt to get that done as soon as possible. So that's then the knowledge questions. So yeah, the other thing that I actually want you to then do in this next couple of weeks is the assignment 1, work in the vet sector. What that actually requires you to do is complete a couple of templates. Part A, which is called a trainer compliance checklist, and then Part B, which we call a trainer profile. They are the two documents that you complete for that assignment. And those two documents are also laid out in a series of steps to complete. So, for instance, step 1 is all about the job role description. Step 2 is about the purposes of the standards for the RTO. Step 3 about the Australian Qualifications Framework and so forth. So you'll see those in the templates and guidance on what you're required to do. So just to give you, I guess, an insight into what that assignment is about, it's all about what's required to be compliant in the vet sector. It's all about compliance, okay? And that means working to standards, working within a framework that's nationally recognised, being suitably qualified in both training and assessment credentials and also the industry in which you train, considering any legislative requirements, any laws that might be part of training, being inclusive as a trainer and assessor, and evaluating training. They're the sorts of things. So that's why we've stepped it out into a compliance checklist. And then the actual trainer profile is more about you. What do you do? What is the qualification you're doing? The Cert 4 units and so forth. So, did someone have a question for me? No? Okay.
No.
Yeah. So that's a trainer profile. Now, I'm not sure if at Melbourne Polytechnic you're already maintaining some sort of trainer matrix. Are already trainers and assessors. Are you already required to have some sort of training matrix that you use, a profile of you? Can someone enlighten me about that? If that is the case?
What kind of matrix, sir?
Well, it's like a document, and it's sort of really, I guess, a personal profile of yourself. What qualifications do you have? What are you actually training and assessing at Melbourne Polytechnic? How do you meet the requirements to be able to train and assess that? What sort of professional development are you doing? They're the sorts of things that you would typically see in a document like that, and I'm not sure if you actually already are required to have something like that or use it. Can you know whether that's the case?
We're required to finish that kind of matrix before this course, and we have to list out our qualifications, working experience related to the major, and something like that before it happened.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. Because essentially, when you're doing this assignment, you're pretty much doing that particular document that Melbourne Polytechnic will be after. It may not be in the format that they use. Like every training organisation would use its own templates to fill out, and they want to see that in that format. But nevertheless, what you're doing, the information is the important part as to what could be transferred into perhaps a different format if necessary. All right. So they're the two things associated with that assignment. Let me now also just bring up that assignment just to show you what's there. So I'll just collapse the lessons. All right, so we've spoken about the knowledge assessment. Now I want to go to the actual coursework section here. So I will drop down on that. It'll give an introductory video about the actual coursework overview. There's another video there, understanding the standards. This is all, I guess, additional information for you, but in terms of what I'm asking you to do, you would need to go down to downloading your assignment. And here you will see download your assignment 1, work in the vet sector, by clicking on the link here, work in the vet sector, work-based. So this is a hyperlink to a folder of material. So it's now downloaded that folder of material. This is still in a zipped format, so it would need to be extracted. So what I would then do, to extract that, I would just drag that across to my desktop and get rid of that. So I've actually then got the extracted folder on my desktop. But how you work is up to you, but it's in zip format. It would need to be extracted so you can actually manage the files that are in there. Okay. So in that folder then you will see the assignment document, and then there is also a folder with resources. So if I open the assignment document, and my assignment says work in the vet sector. So the assessment tasks to be completed, and it says here, based on your own role as a trainer and assessor and using evidence gleaned from your own RTO, your RTO is Melbourne Polytechnic, Vietnam. I was asked yesterday through email, someone says ask, there's a little bit of confusion between names of different alliances and partners within the setup, but let's make the actual organisation here is Melbourne Polytechnic Vietnam as the actual training organisation. Access regulatory documentation, prepare a trainer profile. So that's a summary, I guess, of what you're actually doing, but as you go further down now, you'll see the trainer compliance checklist. That is part A. So the instructions are there saying to complete part A, you need to access resource part A from the folder. So if I go back to the folder, the resources, there's part A. So this is then the trainer compliance checklist, and you'll see a template that looks like this. All right, so the name of the RTO, that's where we're going to put Melbourne Polytechnic. Your name would go in the trainer's name. Your job role and responsibilities, what do you actually do? Just, I guess, bullet points as far as that's concerned. And the qualification that you typically train and assess at Melbourne Polytechnic. So then you'll need to look at these other sections here. Step 2, the standards for RTOs. Step 3, the Australian Qualification Framework. So it provides a section that says overview the AQF, provide an overview of the purpose of the AQF. So when you now tackle these steps as well, what you'll see is there are prepared videos to also help you. So you see this is a screenshot of that compliance checklist to give you a instruction, I guess, in the assignment document. But you can also look at the video that provides you with some information. So if I just click onto that video, I might end up with an ad first.
Let's say you have 50 grand in cash and you use that to buy a $500,000 property to live in, which means,
So you've got then a video, sound.
Steve here from Fortress Learning. In this video, I'm going to explain the process for completing step 1 of the trainer compliance checklist. Step 1 will form the basis of completing this assignment, and here you'll be required to visit training.gov.au and select a qualification that you would be likely to deliver and assess when you become a qualified trainer assessor. You already have one. You'll refer to the qualification that you choose as you work through this assignment. To get started, you'll need to access the trainer compliance checklist document and add a few details that you'll find in the assignment scenario. In the table at step 1 of the checklist, add...
So you'll see those videos explain what you need to actually bring up and give you some examples of what you might actually need to put in there. So, and they ask, again, something you can look at any time, revisit.
The name of the RTO that you're working for according to the assignment scenario, as well as your name as...
Right. So that's then explaining what you would then do in terms of completing this document through all the steps as well. So there are a number of steps. So every time you see with your assignment document, is there a video of step 1? And it's there. And if I go to step 2, it'll say, is there a video? And you'll see a YouTube clip for that. And so on. So we've got those videos there to help you. I'd encourage you to actually use those to actually guide you when you're doing your video. So that is part A. That's the first thing that you complete. And then part B is then the trainer profile. And again, there are steps involved. Now you see here, this little screenshot here, the trainer profile is green. If you go to your resources folder, you also have that document there, part B, the trainer profile. Okay, so this is the sort of document that you as a trainer and assessor really need to maintain wherever you work. And as I said, you might find that the specific RTO that you work for, the training organisation you work for, has its own templates. But nevertheless, the type of information that you have in the trainer profile would be similar in whatever template actually gets used, because it includes the qualifications, the specific units of those qualifications that you have, and how they actually meet requirements as far as being able to train and assess is concerned. So again, you will see the instructional videos in the assignment document are going to step you through that, but you would then need to table here. Here you're actually going to table the 12 units of your Cert 4 that you're doing. So that, and they are, I think one way to find that out would be in your trainer profile. If you go to where your initials are, you can click on the academic transcript. And that lists the units that you've got there. So you've got assess competence, participate in validation, facilitate vocational training, use nationally recognised products, and so on. So there's the 12 units. So you can actually then just copy and paste them from the profile that you have and put them into that table there. So you've got all 12 units of your Cert 4. Now, for all of you, you're actually working towards this because you don't have that qualification. So clearly, because the question says, do you hold this unit? And of course, the answer is no, you don't, because it's still in progress for you. So you would just put a no. And it's then saying, if no, list other vocational experience or evidence to demonstrate competency equivalence. You can leave that vacant because your work, it's not really what the state of play is. Here we're saying action for achieving the competency. And now you are all enrolled in the Cert 4. So you can actually then say currently enrolled. And you can actually say completion. Please. Completion by, and you can just say whatever the date is that you expect it to be completed by. So whatever, and that can be copied and pasted right down through all those 12 units, because that is the actual case with you're doing that Cert 4 and as part of that. Does that make sense? It's not a really difficult table to complete, but it just reflects you as a train assessor. Then you'll also say the units of competency that you will train and assess. So, can someone give me an example of a qualification that they are currently training and assessing at Melbourne Polytechnic? I just want an example of a qualification. Somebody, anybody, please. Cert 4 in business, Cert 3 in communication, what are... What are the types of things that you train and assess?
Graphic design.
A volunteer, please.
Can you help me to list the qualification related to please the RCT 30120, Certificate 3 in Information Technology.
Right, okay. So let's go with that. So I am going to, from here, I'm going to go to training.gov.au.
Yeah.
Training.gov.au. And what, you said a Certificate 3 Information Technology?
Yeah, ICT 301.
Oh, great, you've got a code. Love it.
Yeah,
ICT?
30120. Yeah, the first one.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Cert 3 in Information Technology.
Yeah.
Love your work. Fantastic. So with all of you, whatever you do, if it's a Cert 3 in Information Technology, if it's a Cert 4 in business, marketing, whatever the case, this is the qualification that you're actually then looking at. So with your trainer profile, what it's actually, I'll go back to the assignment document, and it's saying, you are, when you do this, you're just talking about the core units from the qualification. List the units you will deliver. The next step requires you to do the same as above, as with the Cert 4 in train assessment. But this time you'll list the competencies that you train and assess. So for instance, and it's only actually asking for the core units to include there, just the core units. So you mentioned there then, the Cert 3 in Information Technology. So what we're saying is then you've got, with this particular course, 6 core units and 6 elective units to make up a total of 12. Now, if you were doing this, we're just saying, just focus on those 6 core units. So therefore, you would get these 6 core units, okay, is those 6 core units, and you would then put them into this trainer profile here. Hopefully this fits nicely. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, not bad. That's not bad at all. So they're the 6 units then, and so up here we're talking about the qualification being delivered and assessed. I'll just go back to that qualification so I can get the Cert 3 in Information Technology. So they're the 6 core units, and we're not worried about elective units when it comes to this trainer profile. We just want to focus on the core units of that. So for that particular one, we've got those. Now, it is possible that you actually hold these competencies, but it's also possible that you don't. If you do hold those competencies, you would just check the yes box. If you don't hold those competencies, you can put no and then explain how you have evidence of competency against that particular unit. Develop and extend critical and creative thinking skills. You might have some other training that you've conducted, or you may have a lot of experience in that particular field. It's up to how you actually sort of map that across. But if it's easy enough to actually say, yes, I have that competency, that's it. You've got that direct mapping to the course. So all of you will need to identify, well, what is the actual qualification that you're training? And put that in that section of the trainer profile. And in this bottom part, remember we're putting all the Cert 4 units into here. But then here relates more to the actual qualification you're delivering. So you then need to go to training.gov and then look up those core units of the qualification. Does that make sense? Any questions for that? Okay. So now for the other parts of that part, the trainer profile, again, I would encourage you, go to the videos to have a look at where you have that instruction on what to actually do. And in fact, anything that I've just told you now is also something that's been also explained in the videos as well. So it's not just like you're hearing it once. By the way, this is recorded as well too, so you can have a revisit of this recording if you like at some stage. But then that's the actual plan then to get your Part A and Part B completed. Now, once you've done that, once you've completed both your Part A and Part B resources, you need to then have a discussion with your supervisor. Show your supervisor those two documents, the compliance checklist and the trainer profile. And then in that discussion with your supervisor, you've got this resource 3, record of conversation. So these are the sorts of things that you are going to talk about with your supervisor, and this, you would put your name as the candidate and the details of your supervisor there, the date of the meeting. And these are the sorts of things that you're really just going to have a discussion about. What's your understanding of the standards for RTOs? This doesn't have to be recorded. Sorry? Is that a question for me?
Okay.
Okay, so you work your way just with your supervisor addressing these questions. It doesn't have to be recorded, other than this document is completed as part of the process as well. So what you'll then have, once you've completed this assignment, is these 3 documents all completed. Part A, compliance checklist. Part B, the trainer profile. And then Part C, that discussion you have with your supervisor and just recorded in that document. And then what you can do is, once you've done that, on your assignment document, you don't have to do anything on the assignment document other than add your name and the submission date at the top. That's all you need to do with that, and just save it and close it, because there's no other information to fill out on that assignment document. But once you have completed all of that, then you can re-zip this folder, re-zip the folder, and send it to your submission for that assignment for Cluster 1. Okay. And that is really what I'd like you to aim for the next 2 weeks when you do your work. All right. So as I said, I'm happy with some of the progress that I've seen. Some of you need to perhaps really get started and set yourself little goals, but you do have a little bit of a deadline to meet there by the 18th. I do have a. I can drop this in the chat box for you. I'm just going to share. If you are interested in just a little self-monitoring document, I shall show you first.
I have a question.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
In the part of meeting with the supervisor, do I need to meet with the real supervisor? Who are you or Mr. Richard, or I just pick anyone?
It could be anyone. So it could be with your actual supervisor. It can even be a colleague. If it's a colleague, that's quite okay. If you like to meet with me, we can also meet via Zoom to discuss it as well. If you want to meet with me, what you would first need to do is email to me your Part A and Part B, so I can actually review them and have a look at them for our meetup and give you any feedback. So that's also, I make that available to anyone who wants to meet with me once they've done those two, one-on-one to discuss. Just send me an email and say what time. And okay, I'll just show you. I'll drop this file in the chat box for you all. Now, it's just you don't have to use it, but I just thought if you'd like to use it as a sort of self-monitoring progress chart, if you like, so you would put your name in just across there if you want to. You don't even have to do that. You don't have to send this to me or anything like that. This is just something for you. It's like a diary, if you like, of your progress. Now, these are the units of competency from your Cert 4. These are the assessments that are required. Knowledge, questions, assignments. So this is what we've talked about today. Knowledge, questions, and assignment from those first 2 units in Cluster 1. Now, I've also identified where on your learning plan these things are. So you'll see those numbers there. The reason I put there is because knowledge questions, for instance, that's at number 3 on the learning plan. What's that? See, number 3 on the learning plan. Assignment, there's number 4 on your learning plan. At number 4, there's the assignment there. So that's right across that row there. Tells you which module it actually is in the learning plan there where you go to. And now I've also put the due dates for those assessment tasks. So the aim is to be finished towards the end of June overall, but there's then due dates for those assessment tasks. It's okay to get ahead. As I said, I've got one of you who's already finished Cluster 1, finished both these, has now, if they were doing their own, they would put that in there because they can tick it off and say, I've done both of those. I haven't done. So it's up to you how you want to manage that, but it's just a little, it's like a diary thing for you to utilise if that helps you make progress. So just save that. Stop sharing. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that into the chat box for anyone would like it. Excellent. So you can download it from the chat box, see if that is of any benefit for you. Okay, so I'll just open the floor if anyone's got any closing questions before we say farewell, and hope you now really can get on with those 2 assessment tasks to complete. And don't feel that this is the only time that you can check in with me. If you need some help, you can call on me anytime. Quick email is fine. I had a couple of emails from one of you yesterday I was happy to deal with, so anytime you have a question, just let me know, and we can help.
Can I have the record video for today's section? Today's already.
Yep. Well, once it's downloaded, I'll be putting it onto a drive. It would be the same drive as to where the orientation video was. Were you given access to that?
Not yet.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. I'll see, because there should then be a video for both the last time we met and then this one. I'll just, yeah. I've got an address to where to post it.
So Richard, there is a link that mentioned that it includes all the recording videos, but when I click on the link, it has said that no access.
Okay. Well, we'll need to do something about
On
that.
the announcement of the website.
Mm-hmm. Let me leave that with me to get fixed up, because after today now there should be 2 videos that's available to you. The orientation one that we did 2 weeks ago, plus today's. So we need to get that one. Video access. I'll see if I can get that fixed up for you. Any other questions, folks?
Not for me.
It's okay. I have a question.
Yes.
I saw this Excel file, and I saw the due date. The deadline with the first score in next month. Next week, right?
18th.
Next 2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks from today, the 18th. Yep.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you. I got it.
Okay. Okay. Anything else, folks? All right. Thanks for joining me today. Thank you for those who've had your cameras on, especially. That's why I'm very grateful to see faces when I do this sort of thing. And I hope the rest of you can take that on board next time. And I'd love to see the little one there too. Look at it. All right. Okay. So, folks, best of luck with where you go from here. And I will get those videos rectified so you've got access to them. And good luck with the assessment work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you in 2 weeks.
Bye, teacher.
Yeah, see you.
Yeah, take care. See you.